Hola clase. Today we're taking a look at verbs called stem-changing verbs. Today there are different types of stem-changing verbs, but we're doing E to IE stem-changing verbs today. You can see right here. This says verbs with a irregular stem, E to IE. Generally in English, they're referred to as stem-changing verbs because the stem, if you remember, there's two parts to a verb. Take a look at the verb tener right here. The ten, the first half, ten is the stem, and er is the ending. Today you're going to learn about verbs that have a weird spelling change in the first half of the verb. We've never seen anything like this, which is why it's kind of weird. Okay, so we have irregular verbs do not follow patterns. So remember with ser, tener, and estar, three irregular verbs we've learned already, they don't follow a pattern. You have to memorize it. It's not like with hablar or escuchar, where you take off the AR and add a new ending, and it follows a pattern every time. Those irregular verbs, estar, tener, and ser, have to be memorized. So today we're going to learn about verbs that are weird, but they do follow a pattern once you learn the pattern. And it's not really that hard. The endings are going to be the same. You've already learned AR, ER, and IR verb endings. Those are exactly the same. It's just the weird spelling change in the stem for some of the forms. Hope you're taking notes because this is going to be important stuff, especially because I may not see you again until we've moved on to the verb ir or whatever, the next topic. Okay, take a look at the verb cerrar. Cerrar, to close. Do you remember that the verb cerrar, to say the store closes, is la tienda cierra? It's got an E noise because it's got an I in the stem. That's because the E in the stem cerrar becomes an IE in some of the forms. Not in all the forms, just in this one, the yo form, the tú form, el ella usted form, and the este, ustedes, ellos, ellas form. Okay, so if you need to pause here to write this, to copy down this chart, that's the most important part is this T chart, and then you can take notes along with me. So pause now, and then unpause me when you're ready. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. So take a look. You can draw a boot, if you can follow my cursor moving around it, draw a boot around the forms, around the T chart, for the forms of the verb that stem change. That's why these are sometimes called boot verbs, because they stem change like that. So the ending, cerrar, is an AR verb. So to review, it's o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Note that that's exactly the same as I said before. It's just that there's an IE in 4 of the 6 forms. Another way to put it is you stem change in every form except the nosotros and the vosotros form. You see that these have no I right here or here? They don't stem change. So say it back to me, guys. I close as yo cierro, clase cierro. You close as tú cierras, clase cierras. He, she, or usted closes as clase cierra. We close as cerramos. Do you hear the difference in pronunciation there? Cierra, he closes. Cerramos, we close. Doesn't have the E noise right after this. Y'all closes. Vosotros cerráis, clase cerráis. Again, doesn't have the I noise, because it doesn't have a stem change. And then they and ustedes, ellos, ellas, ustedes closes, clase ustedes cierran. Cierro, cierra, cierra. Cerramos, cerráis, cierran. Vale? Okay, now next, last thing today, let's make a list of the verbs that stem change so that it won't be a surprise, because you'll need to know these, and you kind of have to memorize which ones stem change and which ones don't stem change. That's the hard part today, is knowing which forms of the verb stem change, and then knowing which verbs do and do not stem change. That's something that has to be memorized. Okay, guys. So empezar, to begin, it stem changes with the E that right above my cursor. Entender, to understand, the E above the cursor. They show you the IE over here. Pensar, to think, the E above the cursor. Preferir, the E above the cursor. This one has to be memorized carefully because there's 2 E's in preferir. If you stem change the wrong E, it'll sound very strange. And then querer, to want, the E above the cursor right there. That's it on the E to IE stem changing verbs, guys. The E becomes an IE in 4 of the 6 forms. In all the forms except nosotros, vosotros, you can draw a boot around it, and it makes a different noise when you have to pronounce the I and the E together. ¿Vale? Muy bien. Chao,